recorded and shared on our social media channels later for later viewing. But today we are discussing back to school, the 504 plan, as well as tips for staying healthy during the back to school routine and changes there. So we are pleased to have Maureen Brennan, our social worker from Advocate Oak Lawn, and Christine Presta, our respiratory therapist from Advocate Park Ridge, joining us today to share some important information to help you navigate back to school. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to use the chat feature and enter those in. And if not, you can unmute yourself when prompted, and feel free to ask any questions you have of our panelists to get the answers you need. But without further ado, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And let's see, we'll get started with Maureen. And hold on, let's see. There we go. All right, Maureen, you can take it away.
All right. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Maureen Brennan. I am a social worker at Advocate Children's Hospital in Oak Lawn. I've been here for 28 years, and most of those years, we weren't a formal CF program 28 years ago, but I've been helping take care of kids with CF for that long. Hope everyone had a great summer. It's so hard to believe that we're going to start talking about going back to school already, but here we are. So we just want everyone to be as prepared as possible in the new school year coming up and set everyone up for success. So my part of the talk is talking about the 504 plan. So just real quick, what is a 504 plan? It was developed as a part of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. It ensures, it's a plan to ensure that your child is receiving accommodations at school to ensure academic success and just access to the learning environment. So it's really looking at your child's medical needs during the school day to make it a partnership with the school and just make it as seamless as possible so that your child has the best learning environment possible. Next. So a 504 plan, you can call your school. You can talk to the school office and just talk to the secretary. You can talk to the teacher that you're going to have, or the principal, school social worker, school counselor, or the nurse. What you're going to do is just make the call and say, you know, my child has cystic fibrosis, and I would like to talk about setting up a 504 plan for the school year. So it will be a detailed plan on like how you want the school staff and the school environment to meet your child's needs. You can have teachers come, you can have support staff from the school nurse be there, school social worker, school counselor, someone from your CF team if you really needed that. I've had lots of conversations with families about the 504 plan and like what to talk about. I've never had to go to a meeting, but I'm certainly happy to help if needed or provide a letter. So you could always ask your CF care team as well for that help. And when you have this meeting, not only to talk about your child, but I also think it's a wonderful opportunity because you have this audience in front of you at school for teachers, staff who aren't familiar with what cystic fibrosis is. It's a great time for you to educate those people about CF and just like all the hard work and effort it takes in a day with your child's routine. They probably don't realize maybe your child gets up an hour and a half early to do respiratory treatments and medications, do the vest, do all those kinds of things to get ready for the school day. And then know that they also have to incorporate into that day at the end of the day on top of school and homework and sports and activities and all of that. So I think it's just a great time to educate the school as well, just to say, hey, this is a day in the life almost, and just so that they're kind of aware of what goes on at home and what needs to happen at school too to keep your child as healthy as possible. Next. So these are just some samples of things to ask for and include. Obviously, you can come up with other things that might be good for your child or family. The first big thing is like if they're sick and they miss a bunch of school, asking for extended time to make up schoolwork or any missed assignments or tests, whether they've missed a bunch because they were sick or, miss a day for one of their appointments. I thought this was a good one on the website and that I took off one of the websites is reducing the schoolwork and homework assignments when you know that that student is consistently demonstrating knowledge of that work. So, to maybe kind of free up some of that busy work, especially after you educate them about how much time in a day it takes to live with CF. Giving tests in the morning if possible, due to fatigue. Some of our kids get a little bit more tired as the day goes on because they were up earlier. This isn't always possible, but if it is, it can't hurt to ask. Making a plan to obtain schoolwork with extended absences, and then providing homebound schooling with extended absences. Most homebound schooling is available to students if you miss 10 consecutive days of school in a row, that you would have forms that you fill out to ask the school to provide homebound schooling. Some are a little bit lenient with that time frame. Most are the 10-day mark, but just to know about that if it's ever needed. Next. Unlimited bathroom privileges. That's a big one, just so our kids feel comfortable getting up and going to the bathroom. Sometimes schools find a private bathroom for children with CF to use if it's possible, so it can't hurt to ask. Having a water bottle. I know sometimes they don't like to have food or drink in the classroom, but if they can, to have their water bottle with them and a snack if possible. And especially with the little kids, maybe a small reminder to take a sip of your water once in a while too, not just leave the water bottle on your desk. Do not discourage coughing. Obviously, some of our kids, it helps for them to cough and get everything out, and to have Kleenex with them on their person or have extra in the classroom or in their desk, just so they have that available to them. And let our kids participate in gym class and recess and all the activities. Know that they might get tired, know that they might have to take a rest for a little bit, but we want kids to actively participate and have that physical exercise. Allow the student to carry their own enzymes. That became Illinois law, several years ago now, that they have to allow children to carry their own enzymes. Sometimes I feel like some of our patients who are like in kindergarten, first, second grade, the little ones still, they might still go to the nurse office, but our older kids for sure just have them. And then they're not like having to leave and like cut out on their lunchtime to go to the office and get their enzymes. And if they do have to go to a nurse or school office to get enzymes or any other treatments, to give them a couple minutes before and after class to go and just give them an extra little bit of leeway to run there if they do need to get some medicine or do a treatment. And then there's things that you can ask of the school to set your child up for success. Notifying a parent if they see an increase in illness. I know, sometimes they'll have a big outbreak of either the respiratory flu or a stomach flu, COVID, RSV. If they could maybe give you an email or call just to let them know, hey, this is kind of what's going on at school, so you can have that information and decide whether or not you want to send your child. Sanitizing high touch areas throughout the day would be great. The doorknobs, light switches, whatnot, and maybe like wiping down their desk if you could before and after school, that would be great. Obviously, seating students away from other students who might be coughing or having some issues, if they can, to just distance your child from those other students would be great. And also, like, if you're as a teacher, notice that like your child is coughing more than usual or going to the bathroom more than usual, to let the parent know and just communicate, whether it's an email or just to say, hey, this was going on today. Just an FYI, so that you can keep an eye on that as well at home. And again, if there are known other students with CF in your same school environment, to provide distancing. And obviously that needs to be more of a conversation. We had a patient last week who knows she's starting a new high school. She knows of another student who's also starting at the same high school. They know of each other, and I think the families have had conversations with the school already. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. So just to kind of keep open communication and let the school know, hey, if you know that someone has CF, we would like to keep those two away as much as possible. So you can, once you have a 504 plan, it's good during that child's school life in that school. But you can review it yearly and make adjustments if needed. You can just make the adjustments through a phone call, or you can actually have a new meeting if you're really having a hard time and need more and have more concerns. It goes throughout. The 504 plan is good for grade school, high school, college, law school, medical school, whatever you need. Like it'll follow you throughout your educational journey. You can ask, if you're having a hard time and schools are really pushing back, you can ask for an advocate or call your state education agency to ask for help if needed, and some guidance along the way. And once you're happy with the plan and everything seems to be in place, then you can sign it. And once you feel like your needs are addressed. Your CF care team is here to help. I definitely answer a lot of questions about the 504 plan, a lot, especially at this time of year, and just making sure our kids have them in place. Most hospitals, our PEDS hospitals for sure, have a hospital education advocate. I refer to that person here a lot for questions or concerns I might have. And also Compass is there to help too. If you feel like you need some extra help, the case managers at Compass are always willing to help as well. And I think, David was going to show, there is on www.cff.org, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation website, there is a whole section dedicated to 504 plans in school. So I think David was going to try to pull it up just so you guys are aware of it and know where it is, so that you can, I referenced a lot of what I talked about today from this, but it's just a good place to go for all the information and to prepare yourself in getting ready to have a 504 meeting. So just so that everyone knows where that is. I know David had sent out before this with the invitation, does anyone have any questions? And I saw the thing here about private schools. And the question was, do private schools have to honor a 504 plan? If it's a private school that gets some federal funding, they do need to follow and provide a 504 plan for your child. If it is not federally funded at all, they really don't have to. I will say our students from our care center, the private schools have been more than accommodating as well. So we really haven't run into too many problems. But again, if they get any kind of federal funding, which I don't really quite know how to find that out, but I guess you'd have to do a little investigating, they do need to honor that. But otherwise, you'll just have to work with each school individually to make a best plan for your child. Like, that's all from me.
Just a quick tip, when I went to the cff.org website, all you did is search 504 plan and that whole page comes up. So it's pretty easy to find on our website there. But thank you, Maureen. That was
super user friendly. Yes, so good.
Very, very informative. Thank you. So now without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Christine to get us started. And let me pull up your plan. Here we go. And you can take it away, Christine.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christine Presta. I'm a respiratory therapist from Advocate Children's Hospital in Park Ridge and Advocate Lutheran General Hospital. I've been there about 16 years now. And I work in the Cystic Fibrosis Center in both pediatric and adult program. So next slide, please. I just wanted to stress some importance about keeping up with respiratory treatments and taking part in school activities and sports, covering a little bit about exacerbations and health and fitness, nutrition, and good sleep before we start the school year and during the school year. So talking about treatments and timing. So it's super important that even though we're waking up extra early to go back to school again, that we start our nebulizer treatments every morning and doing airway clearance with our treatments. It's also super important that we continue with our huff coughing and any breathing techniques that your center may have discussed with you or taught you how to do. We want to also make sure that we keep up with cleaning our nebulizers according to the cystic fibrosis guidelines. It is super important for infection control. We always want to make sure that we clean our nebs after every single treatment, just to keep any bugs and viruses away and bacteria, because we don't want to harbor anything in those nebulizer handsets that we're going to just keep rebreathing over and over and over again. So it's super important to keep up with the CFF guidelines in cleaning those nebulizers every single use. While we're in school, we want to make sure we participate in physical activity. That means making sure that we participate in gym class. I know some days it's harder than others. We might be a little extra tired, but it's super important to keep active and healthy. Lungs need to keep moving if we want to stay healthy. I know that we're doing vest therapy every single day, but we also want to keep healthy by doing physical activity every single day, keeping our weight, at a normal level for our age and what's appropriate is very important. Join a sport, maybe basketball, softball, volleyball, anything that involves physical movement is very important. And as Maureen just talked about, coming up with a 504 plan just in case there's treatments that are needed during the school day. Let's say that we're teetering on a possible infection or exacerbation, and we might end up needing a treatment during the school day. That's okay to do. Make sure that it's in the 504 plan. Make sure that you talk to your school's nurse. Have a way to get a nebulizer at the school, a nebulizer compressor if necessary. There are portable vests out there on the market if your child needs to bring one to school with them. Make sure they're taking the enzymes, as Maureen mentioned. Enzymes, you're able to carry them with you now. Have snacks. Make sure that you have a lot of water throughout the day available for your child. Next slide, please. In the morning, super important to come up with a good routine. Waking up at the same time every day. We do our treatments. We do our vest therapy. If we need to, we have our home spirometer. Back during COVID, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation had sent a lot of the patients a home spirometer so that we can keep track of patients' FEV1s while they were not able to do pulmonary function or spirometry in the clinic. So if you still have that Zephyr home spirometer, still use it. Even though the centers may not all be paying for the software to keep continuing that program, it doesn't matter. You can still use your home spirometer. You can still track it and trend it on your own, which I think is super important. We still have a handful of kids in our center that are using theirs just to track their spirometry, even if it's once a month, once every couple months. Get a good technique down. We start spirometry in our clinic at 5 years old so that by the time we are 7, we're doing good results. It's no longer practice. It's the real deal. Kids are doing really good at their spirometry. I'm able to get a really good baseline so I can see, if we're above, if we're below baseline, what's going on. It's a good sign of of how your child is doing. Keeping your CF team aware of any changes in lung function by using that Zephyr spirometer. Okay, school sports and activities. As I mentioned, it's super important to do physical activity and keeping our lungs active and healthy. On the weekends, go for a nice family walk. In this presentation, I have a bunch of different places that you can go to as a family to go for a nice long walk or a bike ride. Involve everybody. It doesn't just need to be, your child with CF. It could be the whole family. Physical activity is important for everybody, all walks of life, doesn't matter. Deep breathing, make sure you're doing those huff coughs. And everybody can do them, honestly. It doesn't need to just be your child with CF. It can be everybody. Not opting out of PE class, super important, even if it's, swimming and it may not be everybody's cup of tea. It's still important to do. Swimming takes a lot of good lung activity. So exacerbations. Anytime you notice a change in your child, you always want to give your CF team a heads up. Give them a call. They may tell you to increase your treatments, maybe from twice a day to 3 times a day, 4 times a day. Do your home spirometer. Again, that baseline is super important to know. If you don't do the Zephyr at home and you're just doing your spirometry in the clinic every quarter or whatever schedule you might follow at your clinic, that's fine. Just ask your respiratory therapist or whomever is doing the spirometry, hey, what is my FEV1? What have I been trending? How are things going with that? So that way you can keep an eye on things if they're falling above or below, just like I mentioned before. Super important to know. Ask them what an FEV1, ask them what your child, every time you go, always keep track. It's very important. As I mentioned before, maintaining your equipment, clean your handsets after every single use according to the guidelines. You don't want to harbor any bugs or bacteria and keep rebreathing those over and over again. You don't want to do that. So make sure you're cleaning those. I know I always touch base with my family members when they come in, how to clean them. There are 4 ways that the CF Foundation has approved. Either the baby bottle sterilizer, in the microwave, top shelf of the dishwasher, or the good old boiling method. Okay, very important to do that after every use. You also want to change your nebulizer compressor filter. Some of those nebulizer machines have a little filter that's in there. Those have to be changed every 6 months, sometimes even sooner, depending on how much you're using them every day. We always want to change our handsets frequently. I tell my patients to make sure they change them at least every 6 months, minimum every 6 months. And we also want to see, depending on which airway clearance device you have, some of them may have a filter in there that you need to change. Also make sure that you're changing that as well. This way you get the best bang for your buck from those high frequency oscillatory devices. Focusing on healthy lungs, always do your treatments as prescribed by the physician. So I know that some people are feeling really good with the new modulator drugs that are on the market right now, and that is absolutely great. We are very happy for everybody who's doing amazing with those, but we still stress the importance of doing airway clearance and our breathing treatments. No matter how great your FEV1 is, no matter how great you're feeling and how much physical activity you're doing, it is still important, and it is still part of the guidelines for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation that we perform our airway clearance and nebulizer treatments every single day. We also, like I said, want to keep track of our FEV1s to track and trend our lung function and make sure that we're remaining healthy, and then check in with the school from time to time for their treatment and sick plan. So getting moving is super important. We don't want any couch potatoes. Put down the iPads, put down the iPhones, and get moving. We all know screen time is a huge problem. We want to limit screen time for at least an hour, maybe, and I don't even say 2 hours, an hour a day, an hour a day tops, never before bedtime. That blue light can really mess with brain function when trying to fall asleep at night. If you're like me and you like reading about recipes before bed, that's always terrible because then I get super hungry before I fall asleep, and that's not a good time to, indulge in delicious treats right before bed. So try to stay off of the iPhone and the iPad right before bedtime. So anytime you have children 3 to 5 years old, playtime 3 hours a day plus 16 to 17 years old, minimum 60 minutes per day. We want to stick with a healthy diet. So meal planning for the week, very important. Try to limit our stopping at McDonald's and Little Caesars for pizza, Domino's, whatever your fast food choice is. We want to limit that. Making sure that we incorporate more healthy fruits, vegetables, proteins, very important to fit into our meal plan. The dietitian that was in our center many years ago had given me, this was great. She gave me a plate, and the plate had sections cut out of it for like how much protein you should have, how many carbs, how many vegetables and fruits. And that plate was the best thing in the whole world. I still have it to this day. It's been 16 years. So it's a great tool. If you have, dietitian in your center, ask them for it. It's awesome. But staying hydrated is also super important. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water every single day. Please stay away from sugary drinks. No soda pops, or at least try to limit them if you do. Also no sugary drinks. We all love the Capri Suns and the Kool-Aid fruit punches, as kids, but try to limit those a little bit. So, and like I said, limiting screen time and having a set bedtime every single night, even on the weekends. On the weekdays, try to wake up at a good time to be able to fit in those respiratory treatments before you go to school. And same thing for the weekend. Try to make sure we stick to the same bedtime or around about that every night, even on Friday, Saturday nights. So that way it's easier when Sunday night comes to get up and get to school early Monday morning. Next slide. All right, so we want to make sure that we talked about fitting in good aerobic activity every week. It not only helps our brain, but it'll relieve stress, improve our mood, and helps us get to sleep at night. Studies have also found that it decreases our chance of dementia and depression by having a good physical outlet, running, walking, whatever it might be. Strength training for those adults in our centers, super important for women as we get older. We all know osteoporosis, that's a thing. In order to help stave off some of the osteoporosis changes, it's proven that strength training is super important for women, especially perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. Strength training is very important, getting in that gym a couple times a week. Even if you're using low weights to start with, 2-pound weights, and then gradually increase that. Increase it very little bit all the time, and that'll help. It's also going to help with balance and function. We all know that core stabilizers, very important for women as we age. As we age, falls and breaks are a huge impact on us. It is very important to keep that strength training as you get older. We have in our adult center patients well into their 60s. This is no longer, lifespan for CF patients is into the 60s and beyond. So we need to start talking about these things. This is not, gloom and doom anymore like it used to be. No, we need to work on having a long, healthy life, planning for college, planning for the workforce, and having a healthy diet, limiting screen time, this is all part of keeping healthy. Next slide, please. What am I going to do? Okay, so we have jogging, hiking, snowshoeing in the winter time. There's still winter sports. We know in Chicago, the fall is upon us. Winter is going to be coming. So what can we do? Stay warm, get outside, wear layers. While it's the summertime, enjoy that vitamin D. Get to the pool on the weekends with the kids. We have some great, park districts here. I live in Des Plaines. We have 3 pools. They're open all the way up until the end of August. So get outside, get in that lap pool and get moving. Yoga, the park districts also, have fitness clubs and different programs. And I always say my favorite is when I was younger and I was watching my mom clean the house and I'd be like, oh my gosh, she's doing all this work. Well, it's physical activity. Have the kids help you. Give them a little chore list every week to keep them moving and have them help vacuum or mop or grab a broom, do something. So where can we go? We've got some great trails. Des Plaines has a great trail system. It goes for over 28 miles. North Branch Trail also. If you hit up some of these websites, you can see Oregon Park in downstate Illinois has some amazing views. If you've ever taken that trail, I've done it before. It's pretty awesome. Take a little picnic lunch with you. Bring your dog with you. These are all dog friendly, by the way. See, bring your dog with you. Whole family. All right, next slide, please. Winter activities. There is Emily Oaks Center in Skokie. They have a snowshoe clinic. So if you want to learn how to snowshoe, that's a lot of fun. There's also at the Morton Arboretum, very beautiful. There's rental fees, and I think there may be a little fee to get on their trail, but it's not much. So target heart rates for the age where you should be at. This is all great stuff that I pulled up on the American Heart Association website. If you go to American Heart Association, they have some great information on how to keep heart healthy. Super important as we are getting older. Drinking plenty of water helps pump the blood through the vessels, keeping hydrated. When you sweat more, drink more. If you're already thirsty, that means you're already dehydrated. So making sure that you're always having water at hand. I hate to talk about this, but urine. So if it's pale and clear, that means you're well hydrated. You start getting dark urine, you need fluids. Start pushing more water. Again, kind of limit the Gatorades and the Propels and all that stuff. Just water. If you have to, sure, a little bit of, electrolytes in the water, great, but really plain water is the way to go. If you want to make it more fun, you can slice some lemons in there, limes, watermelon. We do in my home, I have a nice little canister, and inside of it, I'm able to put cut up fruit to give it a little bit of flavor. So that way I'm not adding tons of sugar to my water. So making sure that we're sleeping at the same time every night. We want a routine, even if it's the weekend. Want to make sure that we're getting to bed at a good hour. Keep the strenuous activities reserved for the daytime. In the afternoon, morning, that's a great time to hit the gym or go walking on the weekend as a family. Bussy Woods has some great trails as well. Want to make sure that we're creating a good routine every day. Wake up at the same time, do our treatments first, then we can go out, go to school, do whatever we need to do. Making sure we put the phone and the computer away. Ideally, in our home, we put this away at 8 p.m. Anything after 8 o'clock, we try to limit. The absolute latest is like at 8:30. So putting the phone down at 8:30, no TV, no iPad, because that bright blue screen can really disrupt our sleep cycle. And we have an amazing program at Advocate Children's and Lutheran General Hospital. It is called Narrative Medicine. I know people may not be a fan of journaling, but it really does help. Our narrative medicine group meets twice a month, the first and third Tuesday of the month. And what we do is we tell stories, we listen to each other. If you want to share, it's optional. We are on a Zoom call. We always have a theme that we write about every week, or you can just journal on your own every night. Even if it's not every night, a couple times a week is good. Just to get those feelings, jot them down on something and get them out. We don't want to harbor anything. Sometimes when you hold on to things, it's hard to sleep at night. It's hard to function during the day because you're lost in the thoughts. We do what's called a 3-minute mental makeover. So the most common thing that we do is to think of 3 things that we're grateful for, jot them down. And the other thing is to write your life story in 6 words. That could be super easy for some people. For me, it's dog, family, work, food, gym, and shopping. So, things like that. Give yourself some time to journal at night. Next slide, please. What are the benefits of journaling? Well, it helps your mood and mental outlook. It's a good tool to get through difficult situations and hard times. If you're having a rough time in life, start journaling. If you don't really have a lot of friends or family that you can vent to, sometimes it's good to just write those things down instead. It'll help de-stress, and it gives you a good outlet for self-expression. And next slide. Our Narrative Medicine also sends out a monthly newsletter, and it talks about all the activities that we have coming up. We have a great conference coming in September. I will be there, of course. And if you want to, or you're interested, the email address is down there, the ACH-Narrative Medicine. You can get on to our website. And if you're interested, always shoot me an email. I can also get you signed up for our monthly newsletter and give you more information about our conference that's coming up. And helpful websites, like I mentioned before, the American Heart Association is super great to go to. I always like telling people, it is a good idea to track your steps throughout the day and see where you're going. A lot of people on their iPhones have something like that already built into it. But if you want, you can always look into getting a Fitbit to help. The really good website for getting people to sleep on time at night for children and teens, I sent also, that was from the CF Foundation. Those 2 websites, they tell you where to go to help with good sleep habits. And then this is my dog. So he was wearing BiPAP. To practice getting the BiPAP onto neonatal kids, and the only way I can do it was to practice on my Chihuahua. So
Awesome. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate that.
guys, thank you.
Now,
Hopefully
real
I
quick.
didn't go too long. Sorry.
No, you're great. And I know we have a small audience, but I think if there's any questions from Marissa or Melissa, you're welcome to unmute yourselves if you have any questions or comments. And it looks like. Yep.
Hi,
Hi,
David.
Marissa.
My name is Marissa. I actually work at the CF Foundation, and some of the work I've been supporting has been on school and CF. So I was interested to see what you had to share today. So I'm just kind of a fly on the wall, just listening in, absorbing, and this is a great presentation. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. All righty. Well, then, without further ado, I think we'll give you back a little bit of your lunch hour, and thank you all for joining us. And again, as Maureen mentioned, if you have questions, reach out to your care center. Compass is always available to help our families, and cff.org is always a great resource to find a lot of the materials that were referenced today. So thank you all for your time, and we'll look forward to engaging you in our next town hall opportunity. Have a great week.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.